Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining me. So, how is my guest Jennifer Regular doing today?
Oh, fantastic, Mark. Super excited to be here. I
Well,
really enjoyed talking with you. We've had a couple conversations before, and now
w- w-
everybody gets to
w-
join in on it.
yeah, it is. We're well warmed up on our conversation, so we really life well electronics happens and life happens. So, and I think that's something that we need to learn more too. We were talking about just letting whatever happens, and we could have said, that could have been, oh, I can't believe that happened again, and instead it's just the way it is. Yep, and it is very much so. So, Jennifer, where are you located at?
I am located in Heffley Creek, and I say creek, but it's actually a mountainous valley, a
Okay,
mountain range, and I'm surrounded by animals and nature, two of my
nice.
absolute favorite things. So, pretty
I
happy in this
I would
place.
love it.
And it's in the west coast of Canada, for those who may not be familiar.
Okay. So why did you choose that particular place?
It chose me.
It was okay.
This
Okay.
place chose me. Yeah, I'm on this retreat center, surrounded with horses and ducks and chickens and all
Oh,
kinds
I
of
love it.
animals that are coming around. And this is what really helps me to thrive and feel alive, is when I'm completely surrounded in nature. I mean, we have 80 acres of spruce trees and
Oh,
mountains,
wow.
and yeah. And then it's really interesting climate because you go 15 minutes from here and the sun peaks, at a ski resort. And then you go
Okay.
45 minutes the other direction and you're in this like semi desert of Kamloops. So
That really is interesting.
really
Wow.
interesting climates that surround me. But this is the thing that I'm realizing, because I've actually moved quite a bit, Mark,
Okay.
is that we're I always end up in the environment that most supports me and my period of
Awesome.
growth and evolution and
Yep.
what I need to help me thrive. And this is what I was kind of putting out there, as they
Mm-hmm.
say,
Uh-huh.
is that where can I really thrive? What would support my future? What would nourish me? What would help me come into a fuller expression of
Right.
who I truly am and really
Yep.
attune to alignment with soul? And so I create every year these guiding principles that I follow
Okay.
and that I attune to every morning that just kind of helps me verify my resonance
Interesting.
and set my
Okay.
orientation,
Uh-huh.
for the day,
Right.
direct my time and energy to what's really important and meaningful for me. And I find that even though I could be in a place where I'm happy and everything's going really well, something abruptly, and sometimes not so abruptly, maybe it's very subtle,
Right.
changes.
Okay.
And then I get really worked up about it. I'm like, I don't understand. Like everything seems to be going well. It's almost like someone sabotages my efforts, or like, what am I doing that's not in alignment with this?
Yep.
And I went through that many, many times, that I always thought, I was in my forever job and forever place. And then
Right.
something would happen and move me out of that because it was no longer fit and no longer aligned with who I
Interesting.
was becoming, how I was
Okay.
evolving, how I was
Right.
growing. And there's some grief that went along with that, for
I
the
can see that.
people, the place, even my sense of self and who I thought I was. And like we say, we kind of let go of all of that. And it really tunes
Mm-hmm.
us into what's present right now.
It
Who are
does.
we right now? And
Yes.
learning to accept that and surrender to that and embrace it fully. And then it's soon after that we find out why. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is
Yep.
like even better. So
It
you
is.
think,
It
how
is.
can you get even better
Uh-huh.
than this? And just
Uh-huh.
being open to those possibilities and the new potentials and recognize that we're always entering into these new life rooms.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I like that. That's an interesting way
Yeah.
to put that. I really do. So Jennifer, what got you? I mean, we actually have talked about this recently, but so what got you? When did you know you had this kind of blessing or this gift? I mean, how did you get on this journey that you're on?
I could say it was honestly lifetimes ago because I'm an old soul.
Oh, me too.
So I've been on this journey many, many times here on earth.
Okay.
And I just know very strongly that when we can connect consciously
Mm-hmm.
to the bigger picture, to our higher power, to the higher guidance, to our inner guidance,
Right.
first and foremost, then it really leads us on an extraordinary path. But that path's not always pretty. There's a lot of pivots
No, I
along the
sure.
way. There's a
Yeah.
lot of healing that happens, especially if you're on a healing journey, because you need to go through many initiations, or what I call rites of passage,
Oh, yes.
to be able
Yes.
to overcome, to heal, and to recognize and build your capacity to
Mm-hmm.
hold it, to move through it, to recognize what you're capable of,
Mm-hmm.
and strengthen your sense of being and recognize how to keep your spirit intact. And
Yes.
from a very young age, I was really recognizing how much we're influenced by the outside, the external,
Oh, yes. Yes.
right?
Very much.
From
Yes.
media, institutions, our parents, even, and
Yep.
our
Yep.
peers, and all of
Yes.
the things that are outside of us. And many of that, what I was witnessing was how it dispirits us.
I would agree. But
And
explain that
I
to
woke up
somebody.
this morning with the memory of like this girl, I call them shelterless now because the street is her home, you
Okay.
know, um, of this woman. And my niece asked me one time, she said, Auntie Jenny, why do you keep that picture on there? And it came back to me this morning. I'm talking like 40 years ago this
Okay.
happened. I'm like, that's right. I had that picture on there. Why did I have that picture on there? Why is that coming to me now?
Right.
And it was reminding me of my actual soul mission. Because even though I had like 16 different jobs, mostly within social services, dealing
Okay.
with people in many
Sure.
different ways who have become dispirited or had barriers to becoming a
Yeah.
full expression of who they were, being able
Yep.
to live a life beyond basic needs
Yes.
or even couldn't
Right. Right.
function under basic needs. Um, and the different business, entrepreneurial kind of ventures, no matter what form the work took, what I was expressing through that was my soul's mission. It was guiding the destiny of souls into their most empowered way of being.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was
Really
10 and writing down my
cool.
notes and observations of how we become dispirited and thinking of this book of When Society Determines Our Destiny, this is
Yeah.
10 years old, I'm writing this. And it was just for myself. It was just something to record my observations because I didn't feel like
Okay.
I could talk about it with anybody.
I
I
get
was
what you
just,
mean. Yeah.
yeah, seeing people and the world very differently and just really noticing how we treat each other and
Yes.
how we bury each other's actual core essence and true self. And this is what I
We
mean by
do.
dispiriting. But 30 years later, it took me 3 decades to actually self-publish the book. Only I didn't
Oh
call it
wow.
that. I didn't call it When Society Determines Our Destiny. It was called, and is called, Embrace Your Power, a healing journal of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I went throughout my growth and continue to do that,
Right.
is this journey of self-discovery. And when you look at Abraham Maslow, psychologist from
Oh
the
yes.
80s,
Yes.
remember his hierarchy of
I
needs?
do.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and the top of that, right, is that self-realization, the
Yep.
actualization. And there's all these levels of need that need to support us. And so
Yes.
this is a journey of self-realization, and it is a healing journey. It's restoring our sense of who we are, our sense of self, and what it's meant to be. And when I was in the social service work, it was those I wanted to get those who were lost in the system out. My
Yeah.
mission became apparent to me, no matter what form my work took, that I was guiding the destiny of souls into their most empowered way of being.
Wow.
And of course, I was being guided into my most empowered way of
True.
being, and I
Yeah. Right.
continue to do that
Oh
too,
yeah. Oh
right?
yeah.
And I think this is the problem in society, the world, and in ourselves, is that soul loss,
I
the
would
loss of
100%
parts
agree.
of ourselves.
Yes.
Right, we
Yes.
become fragmented, we become scattered, we get pulled in many different directions. Like there's a
Yep.
real spiritual
Yeah.
component to being
Yes.
pulled in different
Absolutely.
directions.
Yes.
And so, Mark, I can talk about this like for hours and
I
hours, but
love it. I mean,
I want to
it's
hear how this is landing for you and maybe even the audience that are listening right now. Can you relate
no.
to any of
I
this?
can relate to all of this. I mean, it's just like I feel like I'm kind of home because most people I can't talk to people about this. It's
Yeah.
just like they look at me like, get away from me. It's just like, or I'm crazy. And but no, it really it just resonates with me, and I agree, especially with the soul. I think majority of the people in the world are, and I think they, not maybe not everybody, seek out people. I have people seeking out that want to be fixed, and I don't know if they realize they want to be, become whole again. But I have people that gravitate towards me, and I'm not for sure if that's why, but it's just it's I would have thought I was crazy not very long ago, but it's just so it's awesome. But it's just like we are. I do believe that with our world the way it is, that we're at that higher level to bring everybody. You were talking about dimensions, the fifth dimension, or something like that, and where basically it's all about love, and And if I say and one, I'll be quiet on that. So, but I think that's where our journey is taking many of us. I'm not going to say everybody because I don't know, but that's where my journey feels like it's taking me to these people that are lost. Because that's one reason why I started Dreamcatcher, because people are lost. They want a better life. They don't know what to do. And taking back their power, they seem to
Mhm.
be able to watch something and know they don't like it, but it's kind of like a train wreck. They just don't do anything. Like I had a
Yeah.
discussion with a person earlier today about that. It's like, well, you have the power, but they don't see it as having the power. It's just like we were talking about the government. It's like the government is us, and we have, it won't be easy, but or it could be easy, but it's something that I just give them direction, give them direction towards what's next to get them maybe onto the place where they can take it over and put the ripple out there to help other people with their journey. So it just keeps on making a bigger and bigger impact into the world. So, but how do you like that answer?
I love
Yeah,
that answer. I
I
love
think
that
I was going to say,
answer.
get me talking here.
There really is this internal struggle going on. It's like we have this need and want to feel seen, to be
Yes.
heard. And yet we fear it at the same
Yep.
time.
True.
I hope that we're still connected
We are.
because
Yep. We're
okay,
still.
perfect. Because I have this like thing saying that we're trying to reconnect. So I'm hoping we continue this conversation because it's so important to have this kind of
Yeah.
conversation. It's like, what's alive for you right now? What's coming up for you? What's on your heart and your mind? And really being able to tune into what's going
Yep.
on in our heart, what's nourishing us. And you talked about fifth dimensional reality and how it's
Yep.
coming to a place of love. And I love that. And we've been talking about soul because why I love it so much is that when you think of soul as an acronym, even, it's sending out universal love.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can come from that soul place, we're sending out universal love, which is what you do, Mark. When you're in your truth and you're speaking your truth, then you're sending out universal love. And people are attracted to that.
Yep.
They want that
Yes.
love. Oh my
They
gosh,
do.
do we ever crave love, right?
We do. Yeah.
Yeah. And love is even an acronym for lots of vital energy.
Yep.
And so
That's interesting. I did not know that. That's awesome.
yeah,
Okay.
lots of vital
remember that.
energy. And so we're energized, we're enthusiastic, we reawaken the wonder of life. We're like, life is amazing. Like, I love this. Like,
is.
you and I can wake up and say that, Mark, but not
Yep.
everybody can.
No.
And
No.
some days we can even.
No.
It's not like
Yeah.
we
We'll have our days.
suddenly stopped and
Yeah.
we're done now. Okay, we got
Some
there.
days.
No, but we're building our capacity for that. And this is
Yeah.
the thing, because not only are we wanting to be seen and heard, and we want to build the capacity to be able to see and hear others, but it's also being understood.
Yes.
And also, I think, even being held. It's how we're holding space for ourselves, first
Yes.
of all,
I would definitely
and
agree.
also how we're holding space for others.
Yep.
Because then that's what allows people and ourselves to emerge with what is alive, what's going on, what's our truth. It naturally reveals itself in that space. It's the power of presence.
Yes.
And transformation happens when we are present with each other. It's just like a natural occurrence. Just like when you go out into nature, you experience a natural reset. There's nothing that we need to do, but it's really important to show up and be who we truly are.
Yes, and we do. And be is definitely the word there. And most people, I'm thinking one person in particular, he wants to be more than anything else, but he's been so indoctrinated by what society thinks he needs to do. And he just he's almost there, but he's just he's not there yet. He still thinks he's got the things he has to do for society. And he's a person very much like me. I tell everybody, because everybody's like, well, you're childlike. And it's like, I am. It's just like, I never lost that. I still, everything. Yeah, ask Cheryl, my wife. I'm very childlike, but I'm not childish. But I love seeing the world that way. And he wants to see the world that way. And I can tell in pictures or whatever where he's being that way, because he's got so much love, it almost starts coming out of his eyes. He looks like one of those puppy dogs, and it's just like, oh, just do that. You have so much love to give to the world and then he pushes it back down, and he's miserable and deals with anxiety and all that stuff. But he's making progress. So, and he likes to be hugged, and he's a good
Oh.
hugger, And I that's one thing I found too is people sometimes when they hug really hard. They really, really. I don't know if they're doing the energy or what it is, but they want that exchange of energy.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, "What?" And it doesn't wear me out. It might after a while, but I'm just glad I can exchange that energy if they really need that to get through the day or something. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it's so interesting you mentioned because hugs are energy exchange,
Okay.
absolutely, for sure. And some people will even do, the heart hug, where you
Oh
kind of
yes, yes, yes.
yeah, when you're doing it heart to heart. But it reminded me of, oh, forgive me if I get this name wrong. I want to say Ama, who's the hugger. Like she's
Oh,
world renowned for this, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and that's
yes.
what she does. That's her medicine. That's her
Yep.
gift to the world, and everybody just wants a hug from her,
Yeah.
And yeah, so what we offer other people aren't necessarily what we might think is like we have to have like certain credentials or have this title. It's a hug, a smile. It's
It
your
is.
time, your
Yep.
presence, a meal that you cook,
Yep.
a family recipe that's passed
Yeah.
down through generations. Like there's so much that we can offer and pass on
Yeah.
in this world that may not
Yes.
seem as profound, when we create some kind of mental construct around it.
Yeah.
It makes such a huge difference.
It
And I know
does.
this because when I've gone through many deaths in my life, not my own, death of who I was maybe,
Right. Right.
but loved ones that have passed on, family,
Yeah.
friends, and other losses in other ways. We've had conversations about this, Mark, about,
Mm-hmm.
bankruptcy and
Oh
marriage
yes.
and pets and the home and all of the
Yep.
things, right?
Oh yes.
Well, I bring up the deaths of loved ones because I've been to a lot of funerals, a lot of wakes and celebrations of life. And so I hear what people are talking about the
Yep.
person who's left, and it's
Yep.
really interesting how they
Yeah, I can
talk
see that.
about their spirit or the relationship or what
Yep.
their life had offered to them, the
Yes.
exchange of that, and sometimes it was great teachings and sometimes it was hard teachings,
Yeah. I can see that.
and not only that, but having gone through so much loss, you also get down to what's really important, what you
You
value the
do.
most, and there's so much that just doesn't matter anymore, and that makes it hard, to
It
be
does.
socially accepted and want
Yeah,
to engage in like
I hear
normal
you though.
conversations.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah,
It's just you just it changes your whole outlook, that's for sure.
it does.
And that's one thing when I have given hugs, it's like the people will say it's like I matter, you enough time to give me a hug, or it's just like, which I don't understand quite that, but it's just like, yeah, of course you matter. We all matter, but they just need that reiteration, I guess. And it's just there's a lot of struggle in this world. There's
There
just
is a
so
lot
many
of
people.
struggle. And you know what? Even those of us who are enthusiastic and excited and childlike and just
Yep.
open to the world of possibilities and exploration,
Mm-hmm.
there's also many, many times that I have become disillusioned and I've
Okay.
seen others have that enthusiasm wane, because
Right.
things don't turn out the way we expected or our
True.
dreams may become shattered.
Yeah. And I can definitely see
And
that.
so, how do
And
we rebuild that? How do we gather the courage to dream a new dream?
mm-hmm.
There's people who become so disconnected and won't believe in a higher power or God anymore because God, why would the God do something like that, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it shatters our trust and our faith in the whole process of life, even.
It
And
does.
so, I love that you have this podcast, Mark, for dream catchers.
Thank you.
Dream catching, and what can we do to help people have the courage to dream a new dream? And face possibly disappointment again or disillusionment
Exactly.
again. It's about redefining passion and purpose, I think. And the way that I see
I think so
passion,
too.
when you break up the word, it's pass I on. That I being your soul's expression of what you're here to pass on in this lifetime.
Neat. Okay.
And that
I
might
like
not
that.
take the form that we thought it would. I
Oh
mentioned all the
yes.
different roles and jobs I had,
Oh, I hear
and,
you.
and I'm sure you have too in your decades
Yes.
of this lifetime, Mark,
Yes.
and
Yes. Oh
many of those
yes.
that are listening or watching. And so we still get to do that just
Yeah.
in other ways, and that's what transformation is. It's transcending form.
Okay.
the form
Interesting.
that it took in the past into
Yeah.
something new and different, something that is a better fit. Just like sometimes our clothes don't fit us anymore. Maybe the style, maybe the
Right.
size, maybe the colors, who knows,
Right. That's an
but it's
interesting
not
way
a
to
fit
put that.
anymore. Or even like while we move from one place to another, it's because we need something different to embrace us,
Yeah.
to wear, if you will, and
Yes.
be okay with that. Be
Yeah.
open to the possibility of them, like, oh, what's this now?
Yeah.
Like, be
Yeah.
curious. Be curious.
Yes. And I understand what you're getting at, because there's been things where I wanted it to go this way, and it's like, why, God, why did you do that to me? And it's like, well, it
Yeah,
was a redirection, to something that was going to be better.
that's
And
right.
it's just like with Cheryl's cancer back in 2015, 2016, their colon cancer, that
Mm,
redirected me a lot of different ways. And it ended up well because she beat the cancer, but it didn't go exactly the way that we both thought it was going to. And it's like, why did you put Cheryl through that? Why did we go through that with our financial situations? And my guides told me, it's like, you really resonate with those people going through that now, and you can be a guide towards for them. And it's
yeah,
like, yeah, that's an interesting way to put that, because I guess if you really go through it, you really know it then. So, and I could be bitter, but it's just like, no, it's maybe who the person I am today talking to Jennifer.
yeah,
It's just like, and I definitely still struggle with that, but it's just like, no, that's what's getting me to what's next. And I believe what next is really good. So, but there's going to be the
yeah.
same things there too, where I'm going to, like, well, this didn't quite work out the way I thought it was. But so, God, what do you have in store for me? What is that? What's going to be better? And it
And I think
just,
that's the most important question right there, Mark, is what? I learned in my 5 decades on this earth, two questions not to ask, and
uh huh,
that's how and why.
yeah,
Why puts you in a power struggle right away,
true,
and
true,
how gets you so strung up in the details of everything
true,
that it really creates limitation and restriction and constriction. And it's not up to us. I love someone had quoted the other day, do your best and God will take care of the rest. I'm like, oh,
yep,
that's really cool. We only have to do, and someone else that I had interviewed in the past was talking about the zone of genius. We only
hmm,
need to know the 2%. The whole 98% is taken care of. I'm like, oh wow.
that's
you
interesting.
know,
Okay,
and that relieves so much pressure off of things. But again,
it
you have to
does.
have faith. You have to have trust in the process
You
to be
do.
able to surrender to that. But again, you can be curious and just say, okay, I'll try it. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens. Because it's really interesting to see what happens. Like,
it
okay,
is.
and then you see it, and then it's like, okay, what else is possible? What else can I do?
You do get to that mindset. It's just like, and Cheryl does not understand that yet, but it's just like, I'm so excited about what it is going to be, and looking at it the way I look at it now, it's like, this is like a kid with a new toy on Christmas morning. It's like, so how is this going to work out for everything? And it's just, it's a wonderful place to be. It is such a wonderful place to be.
Yeah,
And
and
I've
that
had
question,
people,
what, is very powerful because it's like,
yes,
what's next? What else is possible? And also, instead of why, you can say, what is the deeper meaning in here? What is the truth in
true,
this?
yes,
What is being shown to me? And when you start asking what questions, then you're really engaging your intuitive senses. You're engaging
yes,
soul,
yes,
your spirit, in the way that you can free your spirit to direct the life you're meant to live. So
yep.
ask those what questions because it's really powerful.
It is. And when I ask those, and then when they do this, it's like, oh, so that's how you're going to do that. This is really interesting. I like that. It's just like, I like the path that they work in to get me to where I need to be.
Yeah.
And it's just, there wouldn't have been that long ago that I would have been not asking or even thinking those kind of questions. But I just say, that was you. I love what you took me on there. I love to learn. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so that's very interesting to how that all worked out for me, because I believe everything's working out for my best good. And I deal with a lot of people that are the other way. They always are thinking, it's like, they're always down. It's like, well, this is never going to turn out, and it's like, if you have that, it's probably not going to, because you're putting it out to the world. So and
Exactly.
just like
Exactly.
today,
So
we're
yeah,
putting out
listen
lots of
to
good things.
yeah.
Yes.
Our words are powerful. And
Yeah.
another really powerful question is who? It's like,
Yeah.
who do I know that can support me in this? Or who do I
Yep.
need in my life right now to take me to this place, this
Yes.
next level, or whatever
Yep.
it is? Like, who? Because
Yep.
then you bring in those people into your life,
Like
and
you.
then and even when we're networking, like, who do
Yeah.
I know that can, and
Yep.
Mark, this is how we met, right? Like,
It
because
is.
someone had
Yeah.
mentioned, oh, I know someone who can,
Uh-huh. Yep.
really connect with, and so on. So yeah, who and what? Really powerful questions, people.
Yeah.
Start asking them.
Yeah, it is. I just and I want more of the world. That's my dream, is to have no more of the world know that.
Yeah.
And that would just be, can you imagine how good the world would get if we got some people knowing more of that? And that's another thing where people don't resonate with me, when it's like the work hard, the grind mentality. It's like they usually go after me, which is like, that's fine. They don't have what I see, but it's just like, God has told me, give it to Him, especially on certain things, and to be still. And they said, "Oh, you're just a slacker, you're lazy." And it's like, that's what He tells me. It's just, and a lot of this, I don't have the wherewithal to take care of what and it's just, yeah. People do not want to not hear work hard, and of course there's going to be work, but what we're doing doesn't seem like work. We're both kind of working here, but it doesn't seem like it. It just seems like we're having our coffee and conversation. And I think when you're, I don't know, in flow, or what's your destiny, what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't feel like work.
No,
It's fun.
it's passionate productivity,
Yes.
and it's taking inspired action.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's when we're really living in alignment. Because when we're out of alignment, then yeah, we suffer. We have to work hard. We're putting in all
Yeah.
this effort and hours, and there's like this tension and pressure and this
Yes.
urgency and
Yep.
all of these other signs, like people reacting to life rather than embodying it, and then feeling
Mm-hmm.
exhausted or even numb,
Yep.
and anxiety, depression, anger,
A lot.
conflict all
Yes.
exist
Yes.
in that space.
Yep.
And the never enough, never gonna happen, like
Yeah.
this
Of lack.
Neverland.
Yep. Yeah,
Do
it
you really
is.
want to be there? Come on.
No.
Yeah.
No, and I don't think most people do, but I think, well, they just are not there to see that there is another way.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
lack, because you can work 24/7 in today's world. But that's not what I believe God wants anybody to do. I mean,
Mm.
for one thing, you're missing Him most of the time, missing people, that might be able to help, would be able to help, and just living their life. He wants you,
Yeah.
live. And in fact, Cheryl and I went on a drive the other day, and I said, "My guy just told me we need to go home and play the game of life." I don't know if you ever played that game.
Yes, yes,
Have
yes.
not had that out for decades. And
Oh my
Cheryl's like,
god.
"Why that game?" And it's just like, because he wants us to sit down and not do anything. You know how hard that was? Because we're
Mhm.
always, the next thing. And actually, after the second game, we kind of got into it. But the first game, it's like, we really need to be doing that, need to be doing this. And it's just like, okay, I see what he was doing there. And Cheryl beat every game, so but it was good. And I think it's in this society, we don't ever take time to slow down and reflect.
Yeah,
And
and to play.
yeah,
To
play is
play.
so important. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, I mean, they see that as a four-letter word, and it's just like, that's play. Play is good, and that's what I always say. I'm going to go play, and then everybody's like, "Well, you just need to grow up." It's like, no, I will not do that. Not that kind of grow up. I've grown up to what I need to do to, but
Yeah.
I'm not growing up to be the traditional growing up.
It's evolving. Yeah, it's more
Yes,
like
yes,
evolving than
yes,
growing up. And another four-letter word, Mark, is flow. Because I can
yeah,
easily work for like 12 hours, no problem. But it'll
yep,
feel like 10 minutes I'm in the flow, and I'm in the creative flow and
yes,
passionate productivity of
yes,
that inspired action.
yep.
And it's not like tension, oh, I got to get this done, or I'm running out
It
of
isn't.
time. It's not that kind of feeling
It
at
isn't at
all.
all.
Right. And so, yeah, it's okay to work 12 hours a day.
Yeah,
Just how are you doing it? Like, what are you tending to? First
yep,
of all, is it in alignment with your values, your passions, and your interests? And
yes.
then also, um, I totally just lost my train of thought because I
I can
went
relate
off
with
in a
that one.
different direction. And then also, whether it's coming out of creating something or having to control something, that's something else to
True.
check in about, right? Because
Yes.
in this oh, I can't do this because I got to go do this. That's ego talking and wanting to control the situation to protect you.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
ego, we've been talking about a few different acronyms here. For ego, it's edging God out,
And it
and then you
is.
feel like
Yes.
everything's up to you and that you
You
have to
do.
do all
Yeah.
of this. And it's not a good feeling. Oh, yeah, tension's what I was talking, tenderness. So, what you're tending to, making sure that's in alignment. But
Yep.
then also in that tending to, are you doing it with tenderness or are you doing it with tension? So checking into your body, your emotions, your mind,
Interesting.
and how is that feeling? Do
Mm-hmm.
you want to feel that way?
Yeah. Very
Usually we
interesting.
don't. And it's not that I'm condemning anybody for,
Right. I know what you
working
mean.
hard and doing all things. I mean, I've been there, done that, and still
Oh,
continue
me
to do
too.
that because I'm a Capricorn double Aries. So I have this struggle going on all the time, this
Uh-huh.
ambition and
Uh-huh.
fiery energy, but I just learn to channel it differently.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, Mark, that this only came about like this more relaxed way of being. Well, the word
Yes.
relax used to make me cringe. I
Oh, really?
hated
Okay.
when people would say the word relax. Like I actually physically cringed when I heard that word because
Wow.
I took
Okay.
it as an insult. I was really offended. Now
Okay.
it's like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
I can relax, I can soften, I can be in the flow. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a much better way to live and
It
be.
is. It's
And
definitely the
it
way to
does
live.
take a little work to get there. There's a lot of
Oh,
inner
yes.
work. It's the inner
Yes.
work that we need to focus on, not so much the outer work,
Yeah.
actually, believe it or
It
not.
is. Yeah, it is definitely it's a process, that's for sure, getting there. And I just it's just been interesting how God has directed me towards that. It's just I guess that's to show other people that what's possible. And I don't know if I'll ever get anybody to not do the work hard thing, and I hope so because that's another thing. It's interesting how many people are actually watching me. I don't even know if they admit that they're watching me, but they are because their comment is like, so that resonated with you. They're giving back what they took, and it's like, okay, so keep on going. and
Yeah.
um and that's another reason why God, my guides, whatever you want to call it, says, keep on with the podcast, be a
Yeah.
speaker. But he says, I really, on the stage, not so much, but he said, I want you on the world stage. And I would guess maybe
Mm.
this. um and now I don't know if you know the Clubhouse app. He's telling me I need to learn that. And
Yes.
I did some studying this morning, and it's just like, okay, I could see where we could have nice discussions there, and it's just like, well, he told me the other day, it's like you have to go where the people are at, that need
Yeah.
to hear his message. And it's like,
Mhm.
true. So,
And they'll
so
also
yeah,
come to you. But you're right. We do have to keep going, keep showing up, taking the next safe step. It doesn't have to be a big one. It could be a
no,
baby
true.
step forward. And that's actually even better because
Yep,
then you stay in alignment. You don't get too off track and out of alignment by trying to go too
true.
fast. So just having those baby steps is so important and being able to open up into that space, and
Yes,
allow
yes,
things to unfold.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And that's what I do a little bit each day, to just do it that way. And I don't want it to ever become overwhelming, because a lot of times overwhelm, you go the other way, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want it. If it's overwhelming for me, I can't imagine it for somebody else, and I don't ever want that. And
I can
so,
easily become overwhelmed.
oh,
I
me
confess,
too.
because there's so much I want to do everything and all
Uh
at
huh.
once. I'm
Yes.
multi-passionate, so
That's
I got to do
awesome.
everything all at once. And if I'm inspired, I got to do it right away. And if I
Uh
can't,
huh.
then that creates tension for me because there's
Yeah.
something else that's drawing on my attention for that moment. But to also make time for what's
Yep.
coming through, what we're feeling inspired for, what we love to do, and to
Yep.
play, like you played the game of life, like
Yep.
have
Yep.
that recreation time, which is
Yep.
recreate. It's resets you into that creative flow. And I don't mean
True.
like necessarily artistic expression. I
Right.
mean, what are you creating for your life?
Yes.
What kind of conditions are you creating to support the way that you thrive and feel alive and want to contribute? How do you want to be feeling? What
Yes.
emotions do you want to experience? and
Yep.
and that's a really good way. Like I often talk to people about creating a to be list, not just your to do list.
Okay. I like that idea. That's
Yeah, and then you get to choose, right? How you want to
true.
be. And you know what? Then structures start coming into place and you actually start creating the conditions for you to be that, for you to
Very
be
cool.
happy, peaceful, or for you to be, I don't know, I thought I was going to be a forensic psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
Then then I
Yep.
created the conditions for that because I went to school taking certain courses that
Sure.
would help me be that, right? But
Right.
then, things changed, obviously.
Oh, they do. Yes, they do.
And that's okay, but that's because it was the next step forward. And
Yep.
once I got to that step, then I got to see something different along the path and on the horizon that was available to me. And
Yep.
so being able to create that dream time as well in your schedule, some
Very important. Yes.
room to breathe, to
Yes.
imagine. We talk
Yeah.
about being childlike, like that imagination, the exploration, the wonder, the joy, like just even restoring that.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Because many people have lost that. Yeah. And I think some would even struggle as what they had it as a child. It's so
Yeah.
far from so gone, and it's just like, remember the time we did thankfully didn't have phones growing up, but remember the time you were out there riding your bike and with your friends and stuff and playing. It's just you were just in the moment,
And
and
free,
yeah. And most
freedom and
people,
liberated. Yeah.
they're not in the moment anymore either. They're always to what's next, and it's just like that's not a way to live. You need to be in the moment. This is your life,
Yeah.
and I just love people, and I just want to direct them as I can. I truly believe that is my gift, and or one of them, and
Yeah.
it's
And
just
breathe
whatever
new
I can
life
do.
into their dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's still there? What's still part of your dream that
yeah,
hasn't been realized yet?
yeah,
Or maybe there's a new dream that's waiting
yeah. Because
to
dreams
be
definitely
born.
evolve. So
Yeah.
I had a lady the other day that was on the podcast, and she says I never thought I had. And she says I don't think I had dreams growing up. And it's like, wow, that surprises me because usually most people have dreams. Most people haven't you know, brought those dreams, to fruition. But most kids had dreams like I was going to be a weatherman, a fireman, all this stuff. And but then she's like, I don't think I did. And it's like, that's interesting. So either that or it's buried so deep that I don't know. It was just interesting. So but I just, like you were talking traveling and stuff. People always put that it's not for them because they don't have enough time. They don't have, they put the limitations on there.
Yeah.
And I think limitations keep us in our mind maybe safe, because if I can't do that, then I don't have to go forward and learn how I can afford to travel. I can do traveling, because traveling can be intimidating. I love traveling, but
Hmm.
just going through TSA can be intimidating
It's a
sometimes.
lot.
But
Yeah. It's
yeah,
definitely a
it's
lot.
just yeah, it just sometimes oh yeah, but it's so worth it because it's the best education or whatever it is. If you want to become an
Hmm.
artist or whatever your dream was, um, I always say, if God gave you the dream, you have the ability to carry that dream out. And yeah, it just you do. I was telling Charlotte the other day. It's like talking about artists, and she's got 2 degrees, and it's just like she doesn't think anybody likes her stuff. And it's like you haven't found the right people. The right people will love your stuff. And but it keeps her safe because she's like, well, they don't like it anyway. Why should I try and do it?
Yeah.
And that does not end well. So I just let her go on with that because but it's just like you were given that dream early on. And she's got 2 degrees, and it's just like she's good, but she doesn't see it. And but I pray that she will someday, very quick, soon, very
Yeah.
much
And
on that.
recognize that people are mirrors for us,
Yes, yes,
right? And
exactly, yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
it's like, oh, what is that being reflected back to me? Like, what am I seeing and feeling? And do I like it?
hmm
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know. She's even had 2 artists willing to help her, and I hope that she
Oh,
takes them up on it. So it's like that's a gift. They're willing to spend their
yes.
time to help you. So,
And
but
building our capacity to receive, right? Because there are so
yes,
many
yes,
people out there and information being given, but how are we receiving it? Are
yeah,
we willing to
yeah,
receive and be
yeah. A lot
open
of
to
people
receive?
aren't.
Yeah.
No, it just is. It's tough. I try to see it in her where she's at, but somebody's like, well, you're just aggravating her because she's not in the same place in her journey. And it's like, true.
Hmm.
And it does aggravate her, but she's definitely listening, which is a start on that. So I should get to, so you have where you live, a mountain ranch. I mean, what are things that people can do, work with you on, or what we need to get to some of the things that you do out in Canada in that beautiful location.
Yeah, sure. And it's not actually my place. So
Oh, is it? Oh,
I'm living my dream right now.
that's cool.
Um, in terms of the environment that I need to be in to
Nice.
thrive, but I actually work online. So no matter
Okay.
where I
Okay.
am, whether I'm here or somewhere else,
Uh-huh.
then it's always online. It's very global. So
Okay.
I connect with people all over the world, which is what I absolutely love doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do. I speak and I write and I share messages and I interview people on my podcast, which I
Okay.
absolutely adore having these conversations to help wake up and change the world, and have
Sure.
people come along with me because I feel like we've been on such individual missions for so long that since last year especially, the call's been really strong to bring people together for a
Yeah.
collective mission. Different
Yes.
movements are happening,
Yep.
and I feel like this is what's being created right now as well. So I love bringing, purpose-driven entrepreneurs, spiritual change makers, and visionaries
Hmm.
together and really
That is so awesome.
connect with each other
Yeah.
and really, shine the light and really amplify the messages that we're feeling called to bring through
Yes.
us. We're
Yes.
not the know-it-alls, absolutely
No,
not.
I'm not.
We're
No,
just
I
open
know what you
vessels
mean.
for what's needed
Yes.
and what's being brought through right now, and really helping bring that out in each other. So I love doing that. I have different events and podcasts that offer that
Okay.
through speaking and writing, offering that little bit of information. But I
Okay.
also have some programs, if people are really ready to own their purpose, I take them through
Right.
this amazing
Right.
8-week process to be
Uh-huh.
able to do that, or to spend some time in sanctuary with me, which is like a VIP day where you get to have the space and really be held in that to go through
Nice.
some of the healing that's been suppressed or avoided or
Okay.
not
Very
have
good.
time for, certain grief
Right.
processes or going through certain traumas. And I really like to hold space for that. And then we move into the empowerment phase. So we do some healing and empowerment work through that.
Very
And we spend
nice.
2 hours together doing that. So really loving that. And then, yeah, it's just, there's so much that we can offer. But really, what I invite people to do, if they're more like the one on one, I just want to talk to
Right.
you type, then I
Right.
offer this illumination call where people, it's on me. Like just come and we'll have this
Okay.
conversation. How is
Beautiful.
soul guiding you right now? So I offer that. For those who prefer the group
Uh-huh.
atmosphere, then there's a
Right.
monthly masterclass I offer called Ignite Your Passion.
Very
And,
nice.
again, it's the way I see passion, where
Right.
it's
Right.
pass I on, right? That
Uh-huh.
I is being
Uh-huh.
your soul's expression, what you're
Yes.
here to pass on in this lifetime. So I kind of bring us into a place where we can align and activate that. Also a free monthly class. So that's
Oh,
what I
wow.
offer as a starting place. And then we
Very
just take
nice.
the next safe step after that. Like I say, just take the first step and then
Yep. And
the
that's
next
the
one will
most
become
important
more
part.
clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what is the name of your podcast so people can find
Yeah, it's
that?
called Awaken and Ascend, and you'll find Mark there too, which
Okay. Yes.
I
Yes. You
absolutely
will.
love. This is how the world goes around.
Yes.
Awaken and Ascend, and that's where I get to bring spiritual change makers, wellness advocates, and healers, light leaders all around the world to share their insights, their story on their journey of
Okay.
self-realization, and
Uh-huh.
then be able to offer that to others to really elevate their mind, body, and their business and their
So
spirit to
great.
really
So
free and to
great.
direct the life they're meant to live. So Awaken and Ascend is a show you'll find on YouTube.
Okay. Very, very awesome. So before we end, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience today?
I just had so much fun and I'd love to get
Me
to
too.
know the audience. So I do encourage you to reach out if you'd like. If my one piece of advice is to free your spirit to direct
Mhm.
the life that you're meant to live. Because when you
Yes. Amen.
can direct your life and business in a place from integrity and based on your true passion, then
Mm-hmm.
we all get to cultivate this higher consciousness model of living, this
Yes.
idea of fifth dimensional love that Mark spoke about earlier. This
Yep.
is how we get there. This is how we build
Yes.
the capacity and realization of that.
Yeah. It'll be so beautiful. And even the
Yeah.
path. I mean, it's all about love. So it is
And
very much of it.
co-creating global harmony, when we're
Yes.
all singing our heart song.
Yeah. Yes. It doesn't get any better than that. That is awesome. So on that, Jennifer, I think I'm going to end this episode. Thank you very, very much for joining us on the Dreamcatcher podcast. I look forward to maybe doing a follow up or a podcast sometime with you if that would be something you'd be open to. Or
Absolutely. It sounds
okay,
fantastic. Yeah.
okay, and I will look forward to that. And thank you again. And We'll be talking soon. Bye.